EastEnders fans, and welcome to another episode of Albert Square After Dark, your weekly EastEnders podcast. This week discussing the episodes broadcast between the 14th and the 17th of August 2023. Hello there, you lovely people. I hope you're well. Joining me as usual is the delightful, and on this occasion, very colourful Ree. Hello, colourful Ree. How are you this week?
Hello, not colourful Rob. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm all right, yeah. No, I mean,
opposite, could we?
Yeah, I mean, if you're just listening on this, remember you can always stick it on YouTube so you can see our lovely faces. But this week, fashion-wise, we've decided to, because it's quite hot, so we're both in t-shirts, and I'm just in a plain black t-shirt, and Ria's gone like proper colour, like tie-dye type thing, like she's off to a festival. Like you're off to Glastonbury.
I don't know why I just did that dance there, but showing
like you're in a festival. do the flowery dance. How are you this week, Ree? All I'm really leading up to here is the fact that I want to show off my new mug. Okay. Because look at the size of this mug.
Do it.
Look at the size of this mug. It's almost the size of my head. I love it.
It's such a you mug as well. The writing on it, for anyone who's listening, it says, "I'm kind of a big deal," which obviously Rob is. So it's the perfect mug.
State the obvious, and I'm kind of a big mug as well. So it works both ways, doesn't it, really?
Yeah, I didn't want to say, but yeah.
There you go.
Hey,
right.
Rob,
yes,
sorry.
love.
No,
yes,
before
yes,
you
love.
go on.
Yeah.
What have you just been doing before we started recording?
Well, I just did an interview with BBC Radio Kent. They were very keen to hear my views. No, I just did just an interview with BBC Radio Kent. So if you're in the Kent area, have a look online. I'm sure it's on there somewhere. And we were talking about the Alfie storyline that began this week, which we shall be discussing in full when we get to it. This week, kind of busy old week, but at the same time, not too many stories going on. It was quite focused on a couple of big stories, and then that was about it. So I'm looking forward to discussing it. It's been an interesting old week. And we also had a trailer revealed this week for the ultimate return of Ian and Cindy. So if you haven't seen that yet, please go search it out because it's very, very exciting. So we'll be discussing that later. But this week's EastEnders Ree, let's start discussing it, shall we? So we will start this week with discussing Anna, Bobby, Freddie and Bernie. It's Bernie's 21st birthday. I have to say, I'm surprised. I thought Bernie was older than 21. I don't know why I thought that. It's not like Claire Norris looked particularly old. I just thought that Bernie was older than that,
We mentioned this before, didn't we? Because I had to think in my head, she's the same age as Tiffany. Tiffany's still 6 years old to me anyway. But then I was like, wow, yeah.
Tiffany's still stuck on a wall arguing with Zainab, isn't she?
100%. 100%. Obviously she's not, but yeah, it is weird that she's 21. No. I thought the opposite. I was like, God, as if she's 21.
I know. But so Bobby has decided to organise for Bernie a cider, cheese and chess party, which sounds banging. It gets to a point though where you get to a certain age and you think, I wouldn't mind going to a cider, cheese and chess party. That sounds all right. Sounds all right. I could do that. But basically the only reason that Bobby really wants to organise all of this for Bernie is so that he can spend more time with Anna. And Anna is sort of a bit more distracted this week because she at one point she gets a text message from Gabriel, the detective. I love Gabriel, the detective. He turns up and basically tells Anna that he has got a number for Cindy and that it's been triangulated, as if that were a thing. Triangulating a phone number? I've not heard of that before. What does that mean, Ree, to triangulate a number?
That you discover where it is, the location of it.
What's that got to do with triangles?
Is it something to do with the satellite and finding it on a map? I feel like I've seen it on what's it called, that one on Channel 4, The Hunted. I'm sure.
Oh yeah. Oh, maybe.
And yeah, it's basically locating where a phone number's been in use. Like you can, a bit like an IP address on a computer.
Oh, okay. Well, this phone that has been triangulated is a recently active number, apparently. So anyone would think that Cindy might be on her way back soon to Walford. Go and have a look at that trailer. It's really, really exciting.
Can I just say what I did love about him passing this information on?
Yes.
Was how he slid into the bench next to her.
He does.
Like somebody might be watching
Gabriel,
at all times.
what I imagined happened was that Gabriel was hiding in that bush that was next to it until Anna turned up. He was camouflaged quite heavily in the bush and then sort of revealed himself. And then once they'd had the conversation, he kind of slinked back into the bush again.
Like that meme of Homer Simpson where he goes back into the bush.
Just kind of disappears slowly into the bush. Gabriel's
Yeah.
hilarious. I don't care what anyone says.
He is. I agree.
But anyway, so Anna is kind of fairly distracted this week. And what's interesting is that she has started kind of talking to Freddie more about what's going on, because obviously they have this thing with them both having looked for a parent in common. And I think it's brought them a little bit closer together. And Bobby has noticed this, and Bobby is concerned that Anna actually fancies Freddie more than she could possibly fancy him. Now, what do you think about this? Do you think there is potential there for Freddie and Anna?
I think we're certainly being led in that direction.
Yes.
I could see it. Are they going to create a triangle? You like your triangles, Rob? Is it going to be a little triangle?
That hint,
there,
was it? Do you reckon?
think?
That's why they use that word.
Yeah,
it was a hint.
maybe.
What's to come?
Well, there's always clues at the minute.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I genuinely don't think that Freddie would do that to Bobby. Anna's under
I don't think he would,
obligation.
but I don't think he would. But I could see it developing where it's like it starts getting a bit more difficult for him to not, and that we start seeing that they've got a connection, and that she just looks lovingly at Bobby like a brother almost.
I mean, the thing is, if you remove Bobby from the equation, you could actually look at Freddie and Anna and think, actually, yeah, you two will be quite good together. You know, you both you both have got that sort of almost naive attitude through life, you know, sort of just breeze through life quite cheerfully and happily. You know, you've both got the parent thing involved. And, you know, normally when something as emotional as that is a similarity between two people, it can bring them together because they've got that instant connection with that. So I wouldn't be surprised, but at the same time, I genuinely don't think that Freddie would do that to Bobby. I would be very surprised if he would.
I don't think he would, but I won't be surprised if it was something that starts building. Having said that, as you've already mentioned, we know that a certain Ms. Beale is on her way back / Ms. Knight.
Yes.
So would they be building that storyline up in background? Might be a bit too much.
This is true. This is true. You know, the more interesting thing here is for Bobby and Anna to kind of get into a relationship, isn't it? So yeah, I will be very interested to sort of see how that plays out. But talking of romance, at the cider, cheese and chess party, Bernie pulls. Isn't she? Bernie,
she does. Go on,
bless her. Good. It's nice to pull on your 21st birthday. I pulled on my 21st birthday.
Did you, Rob?
birthday. Oh, I did. Yeah.
I was just thinking we were friends then, but I don't know if we.
It was our first year. I don't know if we'd met. Because it was in our first year of uni, my 21st, but yeah, we possibly have met. Because we would have done a month at uni before that. So I don't know whether.
Oh no, that would have just been us when we met randomly that time in the queue. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, we're digressing here.
If you've not heard the story about how me and Ree met, we don't know. Like we met in
I have a photo.
We have got a photo, but we don't know what was going on in that photo. We've got no idea of any context or anything. We just know that we were in a photo.
I just remember seeing this guy and thinking, he's right funny him. I think I'd like to be his friend, and then I don't know what happened.
Yeah. And then you saw me. So yeah, it's there we are then. So do we think we're going to see this girl that Bernie snogged again? Is this the start of a romance with Bernie? I'd like Bernie to have a romance.
I'd like her to have one. She needs her own storyline instead of being the cafe busybody. Like it suits her, the cafe busybody, but we need more substance behind that as well. Like. Yeah, I do like it, but she's not doing anything else other than that at the minute. So it would be very nice.
Yeah, particularly with Karen leaving soon. You know, Bernie needs something to kind of keep her going if she's staying around. So yes, it was very odd. I thought that Karen was sat there kind of almost cheering her on from the sidelines when she saw that Bernie was kissing this girl. I don't know whether I could cope with that. To like, go on, girl. There's my girl. Hey, get in there.
No, too much for a mum to be doing that.
Yeah, I don't. I can imagine. You met your partner and your mum sat there in the background going, "Go on, girl, go on, get in there."
Stick your tongue in. No, thanks. Don't say that.
No, very odd. Yeah, and that was about it for that, really. So I'm sort of curious as to where the Anna, Bobby, Freddie thing is going to go. I think you're right. I think they are going to focus more on Bobby and Anna, and I have to say, I really, really ship Anna and Bobby. I really, really like them as a pairing. I really do. Yeah. So, and obviously, that's going to be difficult going forwards with who's returning. So,
maybe it's just that maybe this week we've just seen that Anna's genuinely felt that connection with Freddie because of the parent thing, and she just wanted to be his friend. Because I could actually see Freddie and Gina working.
Maybe. I don't know whether
more than Freddie and Anna.
I mean, it would be quite neat, I suppose, for the two best friends to get with the two sisters, and then further down the line, you can do some sort of affair storyline. Although, to be fair, I can't imagine Bobby and Freddie doing that to their respective partners at the moment, to be honest with you. It would be quite neat. I don't know whether Freddie and Gina will be massively well suited, though. Do you know what I mean? Like, I wonder if Gina's maybe a little bit too angry for Freddie. I can't imagine Freddie
but Bobby
wanting
could
to.
calm it. Freddie could calm her down though.
Yeah, but how often?
I don't know. Maybe
work?
I'm just seeing it as the parents. Yeah, true.
Yeah, right. I don't know. It remains to be seen, because I do seem to remember that when the girls first arrived, like obviously Freddie and Bobby were sat there on the outskirts, kind of go, "Oh, fitties have arrived." So maybe, but I don't know. Let us know in the comment section below what you think about the potential for the pairings between those four. A mysterious woman has arrived on the square, and she is called Kaz, and she is looking for Eve. Now, what I enjoyed with this when Kaz first arrived was when she went into the cafe and she was asking for Eve, and Suki was there, and Suki was instantly ready to rip her face off just for asking. She was like, "Why? What do you want Eve for? Well, she wanted you. She gave you a number, wouldn't she?" Like going at her like a little chihuahua. Quite enjoyed that. But you're instantly kind of like, well, what does this woman want? Why could she possibly want Eve? Now, Eve, when she hears that there's a woman looking for her, she instantly thinks, oh, well, it must be some woman from Pride that I nearly pulled. Must be that. Now, this all goes very odd at one point, because this woman, Kaz, obviously, this woman, it is revealed that she is the woman who killed Eve's sister in the hit and run that we had a discussion about months and months and months ago. It was just like the one scene, really, where it kind of got discussed. And it was interesting that this woman turned up. First of all, she gave the false name Amanda rather than Kaz. So it was kind of like she was clearly quite scared of having this discussion with Eve. So they go on this date, which again makes you question, like, what was she planning on doing? Like, how far was she going to go with the date scenario, seeing as though she's apparently a married woman?
She changed her mind, didn't she? Because she introduced herself as Kaz at first to Bernie and Suki.
Yeah.
And then when Eve actually walked in, I think it was more the fact that Eve made the assumption that she was the woman from Pride. So then she went, okay, yeah, let's roll with that.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Now that you're here.
That's true.
I'm Amanda. But also, how drunk were Eve that she didn't click that you were a completely different person?
We've all been there, Ree. I've done that.
Have we?
Yes, yeah. I've had nights where I've pulled about 6 people in one night sometimes, Ree, and I've got no idea who any of them were. It's just
you won't recognise them in a lineup next day.
Read the mug, Ree. Read the mug.
Fair.
I'm kind of a big
deal,
then.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
I wish, Ree. I wish. But anyway, so this woman, but they go on this date and it's not going well, because Eve's kind of just like, we're not talking much. This isn't much of a date, so Eve just kind of gets drunk instead. And then eventually, Kaz confesses who she is, and it does not evoke a good reaction in Eve whatsoever. Understandably, I think. To be confronted with this woman who is responsible for a lot of what has happened in Eve's life. This is what kind of caused her relationship with her parents. She just disintegrates. She got chucked out because she was blamed for it. I mean, thrown in, I think, with a little bit the fact that it sounds like her parents were a bit homophobic as well. So it was kind of all, but it sounded like this was the main kind of cause of it. And she hasn't spoken to her parents since, we discover, which just make me wonder if we're going to meet Eve's family one day. I'd be interested to sort of meet the Unwins.
Yeah, that would be good, actually.
Yes, I wonder if we will. And yeah, it's at first, once she's kind of got over the initial shock, they start kind of having a conversation, because Kaz has done time for this. So it's not as if she evaded justice or anything. She's done time for it. She's been released. She's got a husband, and she's trying to sort of move on with her life. But I think Kaz wanted to kind of get some closure about the whole thing, and believed that Eve deserved this closure too. So she decided to kind of meet up with it and reveal who she was. And once Eve gets over the initial shock, they start having conversations and, start talking about her sister and memories like that. But then Kaz accidentally drops the fact that she was drunk behind the wheel. And that completely and utterly sends Eve into freefall. there was a lot going on with the Eve storyline this week. We should also discuss Suki, who as she starts getting dizzy spells. Now, what did you think was actually going on here when she started getting these dizzy spells? Because I wasn't sure at first.
I was really confused. I actually thought, oh, she's going through menopause. That were my first. That linked with the hair loss, because I know that can happen due to hormones.
Oh.
So I wondered if it was that, but I think it's implied that it's just because she's so heartbroken by breaking up with Eve, and it's the stress of it. So I think that's what we're supposed to believe in.
Yeah, because Vinny gets her a sort of a salon trip, because Vinny's realizing that I need to make up for quite a lot of things here. I'm clearly responsible for everything that's gone on here. So he kind of treats her to a salon day, and Suki goes, and Denise starts giving her a head massage, and then starts pulling Suki's hair out in clumps, which Suki is horrified by, understandably. So she goes to the doctors, and she basically kind of it's basically implied that she's kind of really stressed. Suki basically reveals that she hasn't been sleeping, eating. Her heart rate is kind of going at like the clappers. So it's interesting. But then I've seen some theories online as to what this actually could be about. Some people, I don't know. I'm not saying that I agree with these theories, but there's a couple of theories going on online that this might have something to do with Nish, and that Nish might be poisoning her or something like that.
Poisoning her?
Yes. Saw that theory.
Yeah, because he went, oh, did you not, what's it called, a lint roller? Did you not lint roll your clothes today because she had hair? So was that a clue that he's aware that there's something going? Oh, yeah. But would the doctors not pick up on that? Because what did the doctors check her for then when she went in?
I think the doctors literally just kind of did a blood pressure test and sort of things along that line. So it's not like they did blood tests, I don't think. They sort of just, because obviously blood tests, you need to wait for the results and stuff, don't you? I don't think you can get blood test results back immediately. Yeah. So, I think they just kind of gave her a blood pressure test and sort of checked stuff like that. So I don't know whether they would immediately find anything going on with that. I don't know whether this is true or not. I don't know if it's...
Would that be an adequate test to do, though, considering that she's pretty much passed out?
Yeah, well, this is what I mean. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why you could suddenly pass out. And he kind of listed them, heat, exhaustion, stress, virus, all that sort of thing. So I don't know how in depth they would go with the testing. If they suspected that there was something else going on, they probably would have sent her for more tests, but they didn't do that. He kind of basically just gave her a prescription. So I assume that he thinks that she is just going through extreme stress at the moment. So I'm more inclined to believe that, in all honesty, because we know that Suki's in a very stressful situation at the moment. Obviously being in a relationship with Nish is enough to drive anybody to stress. So and having Vinny as a son is enough to drive anybody to stress, to make anyone's hair fall out.
Yeah, but you know what? Now you've told me that theory that's knocking around, I won't be that surprised either, because he has been a bit quiet, Nish, hasn't he?
Nish has been quiet for a few weeks. Yeah, and the Nish elements of this story has kind of been a little bit quiet now for a little while. But there was also obviously that theory going around that Nish is fully aware of what's going on between Eve and Suki, that he has had a suspicion about that for a while. But the thing is with that, I can sort of, if Nish was going to go down the poisoning someone's route, I could sort of see him doing that more with Eve than he would with Suki. I feel like
Suki's easier for him to do it to, isn't she?
It is, but Suki's the one that he wants to keep, So unless...
I know what you're saying.
I don't know. I don't know if it's true or not. I mean, let us know in the comment section what you think. I think it might just be a stress thing at this point, because it's understandable that she would be that stressed considering the situation that she's in. I don't know. We'll see. More to come with that one, I think. Meanwhile, of course, Stacey and Theo is still kind of going on in the background. Now, Theo is trying desperately to spend more time with Stacey and sort of taking her out for drinks so they can discuss Lily's assessment.
Such a creep. I hate him.
Such a creep, isn't he? I know. He's a really, really good villain. I'm enjoying this. But this actually did. The thing is with the Theo stuff, this actually did push it into moments where I felt that Stacey was a little bit out of character this week, I have to say, because I'll explain. Yes, I'll explain why. Yes. Oh, yeah. I think we'll explain why. Because obviously, when Eve discovers exactly who Kaz is and what had happened on the run up to her sister's death, the fact that she was drunk, Eve is in freefall, gets drunk herself, and becomes angry and aggressive. But we sort of see the reason why Eve might have ended up in prison at the first time when we first met her, and why and how she met Stacey in the first place. Because Eve was in prison originally for assault. And the way that Eve gets this week, you can kind of see how that might have happened because she bursts into the Slaters, like really drunk, really angry. Stacey's trying to do something nice and kind of framed the picture of Eve and her sister for her. She sees that, it triggers her. She goes mental. They've made cakes for a social worker for Lily. They end up on the floor because Eve just kind of smashes the kitchen up. And Theo is basically dripping poison into Stacey's ear and saying, well, do you really want this woman around Lily at the moment? You know, your grandchild's about to arrive on the scene, Stacey. Eve is clearly unstable and unpredictable and is clearly, you know, very aggressive. Do you want someone like that around your grandchild? Do you? And so Stacey's reaction is to say to Eve, right, well, do you know what? Actually, yeah, I don't know if I do want you around my upcoming grandchild, so you need to leave. And chucks her out. Having spent the week saying that Eve was family and how she's her best mate and how she is clearly going through a lot right now, I was unconvinced by this, I have to say. I don't think Stacey would have done that.
Yeah, that's the bit that doesn't ring true, how she's been so supportive of her all week and then Eve has one little blip, let's be honest. Yeah, it's a pretty big one.
Yeah.
Maybe kick her out for at night because you're a bit annoyed because, you know, it could have gone a lot worse with social worker and I don't want to look at you right now, I'm angry. But to kick her out permanently, like Theo was implying that she do and saying, oh, she's a bit too unpredictable.
And how Stacey implied was exactly what was going to happen at the end of the week, like saying, I don't know if you can live here anymore. It was the thing is with something like this is sometimes when a story is happening involving a villain, such as Theo, sometimes what happens is that in order to make the villain story play out, the people within the villain story need to act a little bit stupid and a little bit out of character and very naive and sort of overly naive in order for the villain story to be able to play out. You know, it's a bit like when you're watching a slasher movie and the victim of the killer has to run into like a dark basement or something. Like they have to act like an idiot in order for the villain to be a villain. You know, so and sometimes you're kind of watching that and you're thinking, come on, that's Stacey would not, would not, but that has to happen in order for Theo to be able to be the ultimate mustache twiddling villain for his story to be able to play out convincingly, I guess. But it sort of makes you, because the thing is, if you look at Stacey's history, like Stacey has had times like this where she has done something or something has happened to her more than that.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and gone a bit mad. And all Eve was doing really was reacting to the fact that she's just met her sister's killer. Like, how would Stacey have reacted in that situation? How would anybody have reacted in that situation, you know?
I mean, it's definitely showing that Theo's having more an influence on Stacey than we thought then, because had she not had that chat with Theo, I don't think that she would have kicked her out, to be fair. I think she would have
never in a million years.
She'd have still been angry and then she'd have been like, right, come on, how can I help you? But instead it were, you know, I told you shouldn't have done that. And then you still went and did it. You know, Stacey said to her, don't go and meet up with her. You still did it. I don't know. I also thought Stacey were a bit out of character with how she's been with Theo generally. She's been a bit too nicey nice with him this week, I thought. And I was like, this doesn't seem like Stacey. Why are you being so nice with him? I don't know.
The thing is with Stacey and Theo, like I was getting the fact that Theo is basically still around because Stacey is allowing him to still be around because of what he's doing for Lily. I got that. I bought that. That's absolutely fine. That felt within character for Stacey to kind of put up with this man who's a little bit kind of weird and a little bit sort of awkward to be around because he's making Lily happy and he's giving Lily a sense of accomplishment because she was feeling bad about herself because of the fact that she was pregnant and not going to school properly. I get all that. That's absolutely fine. But for Theo to be able to influence Stacey to chucking Eve out of the house because she had one aggressive outburst, to me felt like that was the case, that Stacey was just being written a little bit naively so that Theo could have the upper hand in the situation, you know?
Yeah.
And I sort of wonder whether, because Martin's away at the minute, Jean's away at the moment, so I wonder if those two had been around, whether this would have played out exactly the same way.
That's true. That's a very good point. And I also think he's going to start upping the stalker side of things.
Well,
because obviously she's not got Jean and Martin there at a minute. Yeah. And then she won't have Eve. So then who's she going to rely on? I mean, Harvey's there. Is she going to kick Harvey out next? Is he going to convince her to do that?
I mean, what is Theo's ultimate plan here? You know, is he just basically trying to get her to kick out the entire family? So that it's just him and Stacey and Lily there. I can sort of see him imagining wanting to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I say, I am enjoying the Stacey and Theo storyline. I think it is a good story, but it is just one of those moments where you kind of it's a little bit frustrating that Stacey is being naive enough to believe everything that he's saying, And if they hadn't had that date where Stacey was kind of like, I'm actually almost borderline uncomfortable with your company, then it would sort of feel a bit weird, because normally Stacey's a little bit more on the ball than this with men, So there you go. I mean, I don't believe that this is going to be like the end of Stacey and Eve's relationship or anything like that, because they are too close to this. And actually, no, not at all. And I think actually once Stacey calms down, I can sort of see her going, actually, you know what? Just don't, come back, all is well, because I think she will see Eve basically going through some stuff at the moment, and she will take sympathy with her again and feel bad about chucking her out, and it'll all be fine that way. But what's interesting also, I think, is that Eve now will have Theo's number, because Theo was being an arse to Eve basically all week. So I think he's basically played his cards wrong there, because he's displaying his obnoxiousness to the wrong person, I would think.
See, I don't know about that. I thought that because there was the scene earlier in the week when they were having a drink at the Vic, and I thought, oh, Eve's got his number marked.
Yeah.
Then when she kicked off later in the week, where she smashed everything off at the table, it was actually Theo said to her, it's all right, everything will be okay.
Yeah.
And I thought he didn't really say anything out of character, but it was like it triggered something in her that it was specifically him saying it.
Yes. But also, Eve did turn around to Stacey at one point this week and go, you do realise that Theo's just basically still trying to get into your pants, don't you? So this is what I mean. Eve is with it. Once Martin gets back, I feel like Eve and Martin will be working together to bring Theo down, I think.
Hopefully. Yeah. I mean, what's Theo going to do once Lily has had the baby? Is she going to carry on having tutoring?
Well, exactly.
Because I can tell you now, she ain't going to be in any fit state to really be taking anything in once she's had that baby, okay?
Yeah.
Maybe not for a year and a half.
Maybe not for 10 years, really.
The way tries to sleep through.
The rate it's going for you recently. Maybe not until she's 15 will she be ready to. This kid is 15 years old.
Don't say that.
It'll be fine, Ree. You're a great mum, and you've just got a child who's being a child at the moment. You're doing very, very well, and I'm very proud of you. Okay,
Thanks,
you're
Rob.
gonna do all right. It's all right.
Thanks for the agony aunt pep talk.
That's all right. It's what I do. A moment of Rob chat. It's all good. So there we are then. So mild frustration, I think, with Stacey's naivety, but I think it can be picked up again. And I think once Stacey has sort of righted herself, I think she will think, why am I listening to Theo? Like, Eve, just come back and all will be well, I think. Because bearing in mind also, Stacey and Eve have still got to work together in the back van. So what's she going to do? Fire her from that as well?
Well, actually, do you know what? I've got a bit of a theory I was just going to ask you. Do you think this is the end of Kaz? Because I actually think that Eve might go a bit off the rails. And it maybe that she does, that Stacey is like, Kaz. No, you can't come. Well, I'm wondering, why have they introduced Kaz just for this week? Is Kaz going to be staying around and winding Eve up more? And is she actually just going to go fully off the rails after hearing all this?
Maybe. I don't know if I was Kaz, I don't know whether I would stay around. Like, I'd done my bit. I've done my bit, and that's the reaction. So clearly I now need to go away and sort of listen to because even Stacey turned around to her and said, yeah, go now. You're done. Now goodbye. Yeah, so I wonder. I don't know if Kaz will be back, but you make a good point in the fact that I can sort of see Eve in this state, wanting to avenge her sister's death, and seeing as though Kaz has already done her time, in Eve's mind, I think there will only be one path of justice available to her. So maybe Eve will be proving Theo right. I don't know. We shall have to wait and see. Some very interesting stuff there. We'll have to see how that all plays out in the coming weeks. The final story, ladies and gentlemen, for this week, and we move on now to Alfie. So on to the final storyline of the week, and this is Alfie, and he has his diagnosis. It was revealed this week that Alfie is going to be diagnosed with prostate cancer. Now, interesting storyline for someone like Alfie, and I wonder what the initial response to that was with you, Ree. Like, what did you think when you first discovered that this was heading towards Alfie? What did you think?
Well, we were discussing it last week, weren't we? Saying that we thought it could potentially be heading that kind of way.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it's awful that this is what's happening to his character, but I much prefer Alfie when he's being in a more serious role and serious capacity.
Yeah.
I have been hating Alfie upon his return, I'm not going to lie.
Okay.
But this week, because he's been doing a more serious thing, I think Shane Ritchie is so good at it. Yeah. I actually think that's what he's better at. So I think it's a really good move for his character. Obviously, not in respect of having cancer.
Yeah.
But I did work. But the only thing is it a bit too soon after Lola?
Well, this is the thing. I mean, I think the thing is with that, it's a very easy kind of quick thought to go to. It's like, oh wait, haven't they just done cancer? You know, haven't they just done cancer incredibly well? In all fairness, as well, like the Lola storyline was an absolute triumph and a masterpiece. You know, but the thing is with this, even though the connection of cancer is still there, it's a very, very different story, I think, because I think what this story is mainly going to be about is the showing to the audience. It's a conversation about men going to the doctors, because men are notoriously bad about going to the doctors. Okay.
True.
And also what I think this is about is prostate cancer is one of those that if you catch it early enough, it's got a really high curability rate. So I think it's about giving that really kind of important message of, right, so these are the symptoms. And if you're experiencing something like this, go to the doctors, because it may well be okay if that's what is going on with you. So it's, I think, a really, really important story to tell to men that are watching. Like, as I say, men are terrible at going to it. I'm terrible at going to the doctors. You know, I haven't been for years. So it's a very important thing to sort of tell men and sort of show the symptoms. And I think also important to give a character like Alfie this storyline, because somebody who is quite affable, you know, and it's sort of doing that kind of thing where it can show that it can happen to anybody. And also, the really sad statistic is that, you know, yes, it may well be that they have just done cancer, but I think the latest thing is that maybe one is a really, really, really low ratio about people who will experience something to do with cancer in their lives, like 1 in 2 or something terrifying like that. You know, so you can hardly say that they're repeating themselves, because it's a very, very different story and sadly realistic to the statistics. You know, it's interesting. So Alfie is left in charge of the betting shop this week, whilst Olga is in a meeting. I don't know why she's leaving Alfie in charge already.
Clearly training, Alfie, she said. Training.
Well, yeah, I wonder if it's the fact that Olga basically needs more staff, because if she's already at the point where she's leaving Alfie in charge.
That is a very good point, actually.
You know, she clearly doesn't like Alfie that much anyway. She's clearly very worried about leaving Alfie in charge of anything, never mind the shop. So
and rightfully so, to be fair to her.
Oh, to be fair, very rightfully so. She is proven right. Because Phil arrives with Tommy and Ernie. I think Bert's gone for a sleepover. Bert, the kid playing Bert, was at school that week, so Bert's at a sleepover.
I did wonder what that were about, right? Okay, yeah.
Sometimes that happens with kid actors. Sometimes they're in school learning about arithmetic stuff. If I was a kid, if I was a child actor and I'd been hired in EastEnders, I would point blank refuse to go to school. I don't need it. I'm a TV star now. I don't need school.
Stay on EastEnders forever.
I'll stay on EastEnders, thanks. You know, I'm assuming that the show forces the kids to go back to school, because I would be kicking off. Like, well, the only reason I'm going to school is so I can be in EastEnders anyway. So what's the point? You know, it's
you know, some kids grow up and they're not.
Who needs algebra
when they're older? There, so
who needs algebra when you're in EastEnders? That's what I say.
Needs algebra anyway.
Who does need algebra anyway? You know, have you ever experienced anything to do with algebra in your real life outside of school?
Yeah, I use algebra all the time. To be.
Do you? For what?
Yeah, accounts.
What?
In a way, like. Yeah, well, I don't use it as letters, but in a way, it's algebra. What you're doing when you're figuring stuff out.
If you're using letters,
you're figuring stuff out. Yeah, okay, but the principle I use sometimes, but no, not actually like letters and stuff.
You use the principle of algebra at work, do you?
Do you know what? Someone back me up on this. Rob's acting like I'm an idiot. You know what I'm saying?
A suggestion of algebra is used.
Reese would be backing me up here. Let me tell you.
Reese would be backing you up, and to be fair. So anyway, Phil drops Tommy and Ernie at the betting shop because Phil needs to go and do some stuff, and Alfie is their dad after all. So he Ernie's dad anyway. And Tommy's clearly in a mood. Like there's clearly something very, very wrong with Tommy. Now Tommy is turning slowly but surely into a teenager, isn't he? We're getting to teenage Tommy now.
Hell.
Yes, he's turning into that kid. And he is basically in a mood because he obviously told Freddie about what was going on with Graham because he can relate to it because of everything that kind of went on with his upbringing. So once Alfie gets that out of him as to why he's in a mood and why he told Freddie in the first place, it all kind of goes Pete Tong from there. And Tommy ends up punching him in the stomach. And it's kind of Phil basically.
Well, it's because of the video that then comes out, isn't it?
Yes, because
he's been drinking at the park.
Yeah, with Perry Griffin. We had another one of those scenes where kids were kids. Where Tommy is basically hanging around with a new group of kids, including Perry Griffin, who was the biggest little shite I think it's that they've got recently. Like
the biggest bad man that East London's ever seen.
Well, I thought it was interesting that Bernie turned around at one point and said that Perry Griffin is apparently the most popular kid in school. Like, is that what kids like? I mean, it is. Kids can be cruel, but it's kind of like you kind of wonder about kids, don't you? If you look up to somebody like that, and that's the most popular kid in school because he's cool.
He's probably one of them, isn't it? But it's probably one where they're like, I need to like him in case he bullies me. It might be one of them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, and he does seem the type. He does seem the type to do that because Tommy meets him with his mates in the park, and Perry's got vodka and is kind of coercing Tommy into drinking it, basically. And that's when Alfie turns up, discovers it, and tells Tommy off, sends him home. And the kids are filming this and then stick it on Instagram so that Tommy is because kids are arseholes. So you know, so Tommy is humiliated and angry, and then, like I say, punches Alfie. And this doesn't go well for Alfie because he is immediately doubled over in pain, and we start to see there's something else going on with Alfie there, isn't there? Yeah, something else is going on. We're not the only ones to spot this because Phil spots this as well, and Phil kind of spots the signs. The Alfie and Phil scenes this week I absolutely loved.
Brilliant.
Really,
so good
really
to see
enjoyed
Phil like that as well.
Yeah.
This is a Clenners era thing, isn't it? Let's be honest. Seeing these characters and their relationships and stuff, it's brilliant.
Yeah. And the Phil and Alfie, I mean, like you say, Phil doesn't often get a chance to be someone's mate. I mean, him and Alfie are never going to be best mates ever. But I really liked that Phil sort of kind of stood up and was the bigger man this week and was like, disregarding, what we think about each other because of Kat. You clearly need to go to the doctors. You clearly need to go in because he gets Alfie to show him what has actually gone on, and he's got really massive bruising around his stomach. And the reason he does that is because they go to the boxing ring because obviously Phil, his response to, oh right, so Tommy's been hitting both his parents now, so the thing to do there is to take him to the boxing den and teach him how to hit properly. The Book of Mitchell parenting. What can you say?
I don't understand this either. When this seems to be a bit of a go-to when a kid's violent or showing violent traits, they take them to a boxing ring. And I think the idea is that they take out all the frustrations in the ring.
Yeah, channel their anger. Yeah.
But I totally agree with you. If anything, you're just encouraging them to be better at it.
Yeah, because it's always worked well for Phil, hasn't it? Like channeling his anger issues. Yeah, that's really like going to being boxing as a kid. That's really worked well for Phil in his time, hasn't it? It really works for Ben as well, doesn't it? Like, the channeling
they took a really good path in life.
Really works. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure for a lot of kids it's actually a really helpful sort of therapeutic thing to do. You'll be amazed to know, Ree, it wasn't something that I ever did as a kid.
Oh really, Rob?
I know, surprisingly, I was into boxers but not boxing.
I was just thinking that.
So Phil takes Alfie to A&E and they start doing some tests. Blood in his urine. They've got the bruising. He's been going to the loo loads. They suspect that he has prostate cancer. And Alfie, again, doesn't react well to this. Gets drunk. It's always the reaction, isn't it? So when he caught a bad news, I'll just get drunk. And he goes straight to Peggy's bar and starts sort of like getting drunk. And he lets Linda down. Interesting side note here with Linda. Linda is thinking of adopting or gaining custody of Janine's kid. Now, obviously, yes, Mick is the father of that kid, and I can sort of see why she would want to sort of keep Mick's legacy safe like that. But this kid is now living with Ricky. There's nothing wrong with Ricky. Ricky would be a perfectly fine parent for this kid to live in. Why would any court in the land look at Linda and think the scorned ex-wife of this woman who had the affair with your husband, why would you be the perfect person to have her kid?
Because to be fair, he'd be growing up with Mick's other children who are his siblings. Let's not forget, to be fair. So I can kind of see it from that perspective. And I don't know, it'd still be in England for one, Ricky in Germany.
Yeah.
So, you know, he's still in the same country as his biological mum. I actually think it makes sense. And Mick was looking after Annie at one point.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know whether...
So I can see it in that respect from Linda's perspective.
Oh, yeah,
I
get
know
it. I get it from Linda's perspective. I
Mm.
get why Linda is doing this, although I do question whether Linda would really... Because obviously, if this happens, Janine's going to be banging her door down as soon as she's released from prison. And is that really what Linda wants? Because like Janine's going to be happy about the fact that Linda has a child, like that's not going to go down well.
Yeah.
But you know, you say that about the family. She will have her sister, who's Scarlett's living with Ricky in Germany, and she's got loads. This kid will have loads of family there as well.
Yeah, so I didn't think of Scarlett actually. Yeah,
I'm not entirely convinced that the courts would be really on Linda's side with this. And Linda does get advice from a solicitor, and it does seem that that meeting doesn't go well.
Right.
So I don't know whether we're going to be hearing too much more of this. I get it from Linda's perspective, but I feel like she's just being more loyal to Mick rather than thinking about this child's welfare. I think that's more to do with, and maybe even trying to get one last kicking for Janine as well, which you can sort of understand. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't think the court should be on her side with this. I'm not convinced, but we'll have to wait and see what happens there. But the point of that is that she wanted Alfie's help, not even help, but just sort of moral support while she was having the meeting. And he's obviously busy getting drunk, so he forgets about all that. And he starts having a go at Phil, who has sort of been trying to look after Alfie this week, and Phil eventually gets the truth out of him about what's been going on, because the doctors have basically turned around and said, yeah, I think they have not officially diagnosed it, but they basically all but diagnose Alfie with prostate cancer this week. So it's interesting. I don't think that this is something that Alfie's going to die from, because it's not been announced that Shane Ritchie's leaving the role.
No,
but
surely not.
I think it is more about the story of men dealing with symptoms, someone like Alfie dealing with symptoms, proving that it's easily, well, not easily cured, but it's got a high curability rate if you catch it early enough. I think it's a good story to tell. I'm really interested to sort of see how this plays out. And like you said, I thought Shane Ritchie knocked it out of the park this week. This is the sort of thing that Shane Ritchie doesn't get to do that often. And when he does get this sort of serious material, he always really, really delivers with it. So it's interesting.
Definitely. Agreed.
So yeah, there we go. With regards to Tommy, do you think where are we going with Tommy with this? Like, is this going to start of Tommy just being a problem child, or do you reckon he's going to?
I hope so.
Yeah, I mean, like Tommy's a really, really good kid actor, isn't he? I've always kind of really rated him. But it's interesting that he's kind of, because the thing is, Phil and Alfie are complete polar opposites when it comes to their parenting techniques. And I think it's really, really interesting that Tommy is being pulled between the two of them, because he doesn't seem sure about which dad he's supposed to idolize more than the other.
I think that he currently idolizes Phil, but
yeah,
I don't. Well, actually, I understand why he don't like Alfie as much. Alfie weren't there for him, and then he's found out he's not even his real dad. Yeah. I did wonder, do you think they're trying to show some Michael Moon traits in him?
Maybe, yeah, there is that distinct possibility. It's yeah, I mean, the thing is about EastEnders, it always kind of goes back on its own history really, really well, and quite often. And normally the apple never tends to fall far from the tree. So, I mean, a very big kind of exception to that was when Scarlett came along, and her and Janine could not have been more different. True. But they don't tend to do that so much with father and son. You know, look at Phil's offspring, look at, so Tommy is... The thing is with Michael, he was very ultra manipulative. He wasn't necessarily violent. So I don't know whether it's going to kind of work in quite the same way.
I remember him being aggressive there.
He was aggressive.
He was quite aggressive.
He was
especially
very
with Janine.
Yeah, but he wasn't not in the way that Tommy's doing it right now. Like he wasn't kind of constant. He was much more he was much more darker and brooding rather than sort of outright aggressive and violent, like someone like Phil is, for example. So yeah, I think the pulling between Alfie and Phil is interesting, and Kat needs to really start paying attention to this. I think when she comes back, because
where was Kat this week?
Oh, she was with Little Mo. She was with Little Mo, wasn't she? Her and Jean went to see Little Mo because obviously Freddie came back, and they then went to deal with Little Mo. We are definitely not seeing Little Mo at any point during the storyline. I think that was basically confirmed this week, wasn't it? Shame. But yeah, really, really good stuff with the Alfie this week. I'm interested to sort of see this story play out. And I'm looking forward for because I've kind of thought that Alfie has been a little bit pointless since he came back thus far. So it's nice that Alfie has got this big story to do. But will this bring him and Kat closer together? Is the question. Is Phil going to regret being so good to him with this? Because you kind of feel that Kat would be really, really worried about Alfie. He is the father of her children. That connection is never going to go away. So I wonder whether this might be the thing that brings Alfie and Kat back together. I do wonder. What do you think?
Possibly. Well, if it does, then yeah, it all lines up for Christmas Day, doesn't it?
Does indeed.
Keep saying.
Yes,
I mean, will they actually get married? I don't know, because Kat does show moments where you can see her looking at Alfie and you think, yeah, I don't think they will. I'm rooting for Kat and Phil now. I really like Kat and Phil, so I'm thinking that they won't, but I could be wrong.
Who knows? I mean, what do you think? Do you think that Kat and Phil are going to make it down the aisle Christmas Day, or is this going to be the start of Alfie and Kat getting closer again? Stick your comments in the comment section below, or by using any of the social media outlets that we shall give you at the end of the show. Right, that was the stories this week. Who are you giving your gold star to this week, Ree?
Alfie.
1 star for Alfie.
Definitely Alfie. Yep. Yeah, he's changed my opinion of him this week. I've really enjoyed Shane Ritchie and him being more in a serious role, and I think it really suits him. And we're getting a bit more to Alfie other than chasing Kat and being dad to his kids. So yeah, Alfie.
Marvelous. And I think I will give mine to Eve, because Heather Peace was amazing this week, and really, really nice scenes for Eve. We've not seen this side of Eve before, so it's similar to the Alfie thing. It's nice to explore these different layers of the characters. So yeah, really nice stuff with Eve this week. So yeah, 100% Eve gets my gold star. Right, final part of the section of the podcast, ladies and gents, is comments from you guys.
So, Rob, we're going to go straight to our comments this week. This one's from our YouTube channel. This one is from Unsafe68, who says, always love the two of you. Great show as always. I do disagree about Reese, though. I think there's a dark side coming, or at least something changing in the situation with Debbie. I think there's going to be something else to the story. So, obviously, that's in relation to last week and what we were saying about Reese and how we love Reese.
Yeah, we do. We got a lot of people. A lot of people have got in touch with us saying about like how we're wrong, basically, which I get. I do get.
I do as well. Yeah.
The thing is, though, I don't know, saying that he's basically going to be a criminal. I mean, the thing is, you've got to bear in mind how much Reese kind of freaked out whenever anybody kind of gave him the option of, like, when Keanu was asking him to fill the books, like he had no idea how to cope with that. I do not think that Reese is happy with himself for doing what he's doing with the money from Debbie's account. I don't think he's enjoying that he's there. It's just,
I mean, I guess we haven't seen enough. All we saw was him looking at the bank account, and then we didn't really see his reaction about it. And are we going to start seeing little scenes where he's looking really guilty and shifty about it? I do understand what people are saying, but I hope that people don't think that me and Rob are condoning what he's doing. We're just saying we really enjoy his character.
Oh, I am. Definitely do that. That's what you should do in that situation. It's absolutely the right thing to do. And Tammy Table on Facebook says, okay, I still think Suki could be pregnant. I don't know how old she is or if she's menopausal, but maybe not, though. Could be anything. I don't know why I thought that lady would be Eve's long-lost sister or something. I forgot about her sister dying in a crash. To be fair, that scene where he revealed what happened was so long ago, and it was actually I think it was just the one scene. So it was easy to forget that, in fairness. So I understand why people were maybe a little bit confused at first. Tammy goes on to say, my poor, sweet Alfie. I want to give him the biggest hug. Linda knows something is up, and I'm sure she will quickly find out. I love how quickly Anna caught on to what Bobby was doing. Like, she is portrayed as kind of thick. And usually in those kind of scenes, the other person is just like, you're acting really weird. Are you okay? But she was instantly like, oh no, I've got to nip this in the bud. This is what I mean when I say about Anna and Bobby. I really, really ship them together. I think they're going to be really, really good together. But there are obviously problems to come for the relationship of Bobby and Anna, which leads us into discussing the trailer that was released this week. Very, very exciting. So Cindy's on her way back in the next couple of weeks.
Yes.
And it looks like it's all going to kick off. The proverbial is going to hit the fan.
Well, we've got Kathy who's like, thought you were dead. It's like, you want to talk, Kathy.
Oh, well, exactly. Like, what's the response going to be to that? You know, like, what do you say to someone like Kathy who is accusing you as you should be dead? Well, so should you, love. You know, pot kettle. But there's a lot of interesting little tidbits in that trailer. First of all, you've got the fact that Ian and Sharon are having a chat together in the Vic. Now, are they? How quickly will they have put their differences aside, seeing as though Sharon tried to kill Ian? Like, is that?
I think they're going to quickly. I think it'll be quite a quickly. They've put it to the side, and Sharon's going to be like, "Do you really trust Cindy?" You know. That's what I'm seeing.
To be fair, if Ian is going to get back with someone like Cindy, I don't think he can be that angry with Sharon. In all fairness, you know, at least they've got that. They've got that in common. You know, both of them have been married to Ian, and both of them tried to kill him. So I feel like Ian can't exactly stay angry at Sharon for long if he's going to be back with Sharon. Back with Cindy, sorry. So yes, obviously the Cindy and Kathy scenes are upcoming. I can't wait for them. That's going to be electric, and I'm really looking forward to seeing Sharon and Ian spending some more time together on screen. It's going to be great to have Ian back. Bobby's looking all concerned, so obviously something to do with Bobby is going to be kicking off. The girls are still to find out who their mum is. George is looking all concerned, looking at his laptop and looking at pictures.
I did think Ian was looking a bit shifty, and it looks like Ian's going to be trying his best to make Cindy not bump into the Knights somehow. I'm wondering that because we saw him look at exactly. So yeah, very exciting.
Very exciting. And then right at the end
of August.
Then right at the end of it, Cindy looks really annoyed, really angry at somebody. Like she's having an argument with somebody. Who's that going to be with? It could be anybody, in all honesty.
Anyone on Square.
Really could be anybody. I can't wait. It's going to be very, very good. Yes. So if you would like to get in touch with us about anything to do with EastEnders past, present, or future, please feel free to do the following.
You can find us on Facebook, on Albert Square After Dark, on Instagram and Twitter at E20 After Dark. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Albert Square After Dark, and find us on all your favourite podcast sites. Or you can drop us an email at e20afterdarkpodcast@gmail.com.
Do it. Next week, ladies and gentlemen, I do believe we might be getting the start of the Beals returning, because I think Peter might be back next week.
I think you might be right, Rob. I've seen that.
And he looks gorgeous, just want to say.
God, here we go.
I so I greatly look forward to that, and we shall be discussing all the ins and outs of that return same time next week. Be there. Until then, it's goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
See ya.
Bye.